That creepy guy just keeps staring. I'm terrified. The boxes were finally gone, flattened, stacked neatly by the recycling bin in the alley behind the building. I stretched, feeling the satisfying pop in my lower back. New apartment, new start. That's what I kept telling myself. The afternoon light streamed through the living room window, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air. I loved this light. It made the hardwood floors glow and the exposed brick wall feel warmer. This place had character, something my old apartment, a sterile, soulless box downtown, lacked. I set up my laptop on the small kitchen table, ready to get back to work. Freelance graphic design wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills and allowed me the freedom to work from anywhere. Freedom. That was the key word. That's when I saw him. Across the street, leaning against a brick wall, was a man. He was just standing there, staring. I paused, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. Maybe he was waiting for someone. Maybe he was just taking a break. I looked away, telling myself not to be ridiculous. City life. People stand around. But when I glanced back a few minutes later, he was still there, still staring. He was unremarkable. Average height, average build. Jeans, a dark t-shirt, a baseball cap pulled low over his eyes. The kind of guy you wouldn't notice in a crowd, except for the eyes. They were fixed on me, unwavering. A shiver ran down my spine. I closed the blinds, trying to block him out. Stupid. I was being stupid. Probably lived in the building across the street. Probably staring at something else. I tried to focus on my work, designing a logo for a new coffee shop, but the man's gaze lingered in my mind. Every few minutes, I'd peek through the blinds. He was always there. By the time the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, I was thoroughly unnerved. I called Chloe, my best friend. "You're being paranoid, Alara," she said, her voice full of amusement. "Welcome to city living. People stare. Get over it." "But it's different," I insisted. "It's like he's watching me, intently, all the time. Maybe he thinks you're cute," she teased. "Chloe, this isn't funny." Okay. Look, if it really bothers you, call the non-emergency line. But honestly, you're probably just stressed from the move." I hung up, feeling even more foolish. Chloe was right. I was overreacting. The next morning, I decided to walk to the coffee shop down the street. I needed a caffeine fix and a change of scenery. As I walked, I scanned the street, half expecting to see him. He wasn't there. Relief washed over me. I was letting my anxiety get the best of me. I ordered my usual latte and found a seat by the window. I pulled out my laptop and started working. Then I saw him. He was standing across the street, partially hidden in the doorway of a vacant storefront, staring. My heart pounded in my chest. This couldn't be a coincidence. I quickly packed up my laptop and hurried out of the coffee shop. I walked as fast as I could without running, my eyes fixed on the sidewalk. I could feel his gaze on my back. When I reached my building, I practically sprinted inside and locked the door behind me. I leaned against it, gasping for breath. He was still out there. I saw him through the peephole, standing across the street, just watching. This wasn't just paranoia. This was something else. I called the non-emergency line. I explained the situation to the dispatcher, trying to keep my voice steady. "Ma'am, we can't dispatch an officer based on someone just staring at you," she said, her voice flat. "Unless he's making threats or harassing you, there's nothing we can do. But he's been doing it for 2 days." He followed me to the coffee shop. "We understand your concern, ma'am, but there's nothing illegal about looking at someone. If you feel threatened, you can file a report at your local precinct." I hung up, feeling helpless. The system wasn't going to protect me. I was on my own. That evening, I saw Mr. Henderson, my elderly neighbor, watering his potted plants in the hallway. He was a kind-faced man with twinkling eyes and a gentle demeanor. "Everything all right, dear?" he asked, noticing my worried expression. I think someone's been watching me," I whispered. He sighed. "This neighborhood ain't what it used to be. Strange folks around these days. You gotta be careful, you know. Lock your doors, don't talk to strangers." His words offered little comfort. They only amplified my fear. I started keeping a log of his appearances. Date, time, location, description of his clothing. I took pictures from my window, blurry images of a man lurking in the shadows. The staring continued, day after day. He was always there. Across the street, in the park, outside the coffee shop, always watching. I started noticing other things. A light bulb that had burned out in my hallway. A misplaced item on my kitchen counter. A scratching sound outside my window at night. Nothing concrete, nothing I could prove, but enough to make me question my sanity. I went to the police precinct to file a report. I sat across from Detective Washington, a weary-looking man with tired eyes and a cynical smile. I told him everything. About the staring, the log, the pictures, the unsettling feeling that I was being watched. He listened patiently, but his expression remained unchanged. "Ms. Bellwether, I understand your concern," he said when I finished. "But frankly, this sounds like a case of urban anxiety. People stare. It's a fact of life. Unless this man has threatened you or committed a crime, there's not much we can do. But he's intimidating me. He's making me feel unsafe. I understand, but feelings aren't evidence. If he makes any direct threats, call us immediately. In the meantime, try to relax. Get some sleep. You're probably just stressed." I left the precinct feeling defeated. The police weren't going to help me. They thought I was crazy. I decided to take matters into my own hands. I ordered a security camera system online. I installed cameras inside my apartment, pointed at the front door and the living room window. At least I would have proof if anything happened. I started having nightmares. I would dream that he was inside my apartment, standing over my bed, his eyes burning into me. I couldn't sleep. I was constantly on edge, jumping at every sound. My work suffered. I missed deadlines. My clients started complaining. I was losing control. Chloe came over one evening, concerned about my increasingly erratic behavior. "Ilara, you need to do something," she said, her voice laced with worry. "This is affecting your health, your work, your entire life. You can't let this guy win." "What am I supposed to do?" I asked, tears welling up in my eyes. "The police won't help me. I'm trapped." "Move," she said. "Get out of this apartment. Find a new place where he can't find you." "I can't afford to move again," I said, defeated. "Then stay with me for a while," she offered. "Just until things calm down." I shook my head. "I can't. I need to face this. I need to prove that I'm not crazy." That night, I decided to review the security footage. I sat in front of my laptop, watching hours of grainy video. Nothing. Just empty hallways and vacant rooms. Then, at 3:17 a.m., I saw it. A man approached my front door. He was wearing a baseball cap and a dark t-shirt, the same clothes the stalker always wore. He reached out and touched the doorknob. He didn't try to open it. He just touched it, gently, almost reverently. Then he walked away. I replayed the footage, zooming in on his face. It was him, the man who had been staring at me for weeks. I had proof. I called Detective Washington immediately. I told him about the security footage. He sounded more concerned this time. "All right, Ms. Bellwether, send me the footage. I'll have an officer swing by to pick it up." The next day, Detective Washington called me back. "We've reviewed the footage, Ms. Bellwether," he said. "It's disturbing. We're increasing patrols in your area. We're also going to try to identify the man in the video. In the meantime, please be careful. Don't go out alone, and call us immediately if you see him again." I felt a glimmer of hope. Finally, the police were taking me seriously. But that hope was short-lived. A few days later, I came home from the grocery store to find my apartment door ajar. My heart stopped. I cautiously pushed the door open and stepped inside. The apartment was dark and silent. "Hello?" I called out, my voice trembling. No answer. I reached for my phone, my hand shaking. Then I saw it. On my kitchen counter, there was a photograph. It was a picture of me. I was sitting at my desk, working on my laptop. The picture had been taken from outside my window, without my knowledge. I spun around, my eyes scanning the room. And then I saw him. He was standing in the corner of the living room, partially hidden in the shadows. He was wearing the same clothes he always wore. The baseball cap, the dark t-shirt, the jeans. He didn't say anything. He just stared at me. His eyes were cold and empty. I screamed. He took a step towards me. I grabbed a can of pepper spray from my purse and aimed it at his face. "Stay back," I yelled. He didn't stop. I sprayed him in the eyes. He recoiled, clutching his face. I didn't wait. I ran. I burst out of the apartment and into the hallway, screaming for help. I ran down the stairs and out of the building, into the street. People stared. I didn't stop running until I reached the coffee shop. I collapsed onto a chair, gasping for breath. The barista rushed over to me, her face full of concern. "Are you okay?" she asked. "He's in my apartment," I cried. "He's trying to kill me." The barista called the police. Within minutes, the street was swarming with police cars, sirens blaring. I watched as officers rushed into my building, their guns drawn. They searched for the man, but he was gone. He had vanished. I gave a statement to Detective Washington, my voice shaking. He seemed genuinely concerned this time. "We'll find him, Miss Bellwether," he said. "We'll catch him." I stayed with Chloe for a few days, feeling traumatized and vulnerable. The police increased their presence in the neighborhood, but the man was never apprehended. He had disappeared without a trace. I reviewed the security footage again and again, trying to understand what had happened. Then I noticed something I had missed before. In the reflection in the man's eyes, I saw a distorted image of my apartment, across the street. He hadn't just been staring at me. He had been staring at my apartment. He had been watching my every move. He knew my routine, my habits, my vulnerabilities. I decided to move out of the apartment. I couldn't stay there any longer. The memories were too painful, the fear too intense. I found a new place, far away from the old neighborhood. I tried to rebuild my life, but the experience had left me deeply scarred. I was always hyper-aware of my surroundings. I checked the locks on my doors and windows multiple times a day. I avoided walking alone at night. I was living in constant fear. One day, months later, I was at a new coffee shop in my new neighborhood. I was trying to relax, to forget about everything that had happened. I glanced up and saw a fleeting glimpse of a familiar figure in the crowd. A man wearing a baseball cap and a dark t-shirt. He was standing across the street, partially hidden in the shadows. It could have been him. Or it could have been my paranoia playing tricks on me. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. He turned and walked away. I stared out the window, frozen with fear, wondering if I would ever truly escape his gaze. Was he really there? Or had the trauma manifested into something worse? Was he still out there, or had I become the victim of my own mind? The camera pans in on my face, the fear evident in my eyes, and the audience is left to question if the man is really there, or if the trauma has manifested into something worse.